Hey guys, so real quick I'm going to go over the Royal High Summer Mermaid Story Contest information. If you did it this last time for spring, it's basically just going to be the same RSVP system, but if you're newer and you didn't really know what happened for spring, what I did, since previously the story had gotten so much traffic to the Google form that it just didn't function, and a lot of people had been upset that they took the time to write stories but couldn't enter them. So what I decided this past time around for the spring stories is to run like a RSVP system through the Google Forms, so that at the very least, even if you couldn't RSVP a spot in time, that you didn't waste your time on writing a story, because it does take pretty long. And so this past time I ran that RSVP system to kind of help that out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that again to try to save people time from writing a story and it potentially not getting through. And all you need to do for now, if you want to enter, is sign up in time with a limited amount of spaces for an RSVP. So that means that your story doesn't need to be ready yet. This is just for a spot. In fact, please do not start writing a story unless if you get confirmation of an RSVP. Okay, so I'm going to go through this, some of the rules for this. And so this is going to be for at some point in June. And it's summertime, but the theme is actually going to be mermaid or aquatic. So in that case, it's fine to write about mermaids, mermen, the sea, starfish, dolphins, maybe even the beach could be mentioned, or just mermaids in general, even if they're not in the water. But there needs to be that aquatic or mermaid, merman theme. And if your story doesn't have that, then it will just be skipped over. So let me first show you some information regarding this. So, and I put these slides up on my Twitter, and I will link them below if I'm able, so that you could read through them again if this video, if you're better at like reading instead of auditory learning. Are you an aspiring artist who wants to be featured in one of the fountain stories? If that's the case, RSVP your summer story, but read the instructions and disclaimers first. Please do not RSVP if you do not read through them, or else it's just a waste of time that takes someone else's spot. So please do not prepare a story unless you have a confirmation from the form link, which isn't open yet. So please do not write saying, the link doesn't work for me. That's because it's not open yet. It's not going to be open till the times that I will mention soon. Okay, and it will only be open during those times for a select amount of entries. So, please do not prepare a story unless you have a confirmation from the form link further below that you have a spot reserved. So how we did it last time is that if you're going to enter, you have to sign up with an email so that you get a confirmation message back and the confirmation message will have the link that you're going to enter your story in later on, because you're going to have time to prepare for it, a few days. So that link isn't supposed to be shared with anyone else, and it will pop up in your email. So if you are uncomfortable sharing your email, that's totally understandable. But also please know that my form is not through my personal email. It's through just like kind of a random email that I made just for Royal High stuff. And I don't use it for any social reasons, and after every single contest I delete all the information and I don't share it with anyone else other than if anyone is co-reading it with me. And the only people that I've ever had co-read with me are my husband and occasionally one or two others, but usually what I'll do is I'll post it in a separate link. I'll make them their own separate form that doesn't have your private information in it. So just know that to enter this, you do have to have that option, because I can't message 400 people each an individual message on Twitter, especially if people don't follow me or they have restrictions. So this is the only way to do that. So if you're comfortable, please do, and if not, totally understandable. But you just won't be able to enter in this case. All right, so let's move on to the next one. So the reward for winning, there may be anywhere from 8 to 20 winning stories picked. The players will receive a special in-game writer's badge, related accessory, your name credited in-game with your story, and recognition in the community. I'm going to allow 450 max RSVP applications through 5 separate time slots of 90 entries each. Now that is just for RSVP, that is not for the stories. Okay, this is just to reserve a spot. So your story doesn't need to be finished, as this is the new reservation system to reserve your story spot in an attempt to save players time and frustration from the past experiences. So those who do manage to reserve a spot, and only those people will receive a confirmation message that with the link to enter at. They will have from Sunday, May 23rd in the morning PST time zone, till Wednesday, May 26th, midnight PST time zone to submit their finished stories, okay? So these are not the reservation times. That is just for those who are able to reserve when they will submit their story between, okay? Limitations. If you won the 2021 spring contest, you are unable to enter this contest, so please sit out and you could try again in the fall. There's only one entry allowed per writer, so you don't get to write more than one story. And you can write it with someone else, but I prefer that you write it yourselves. You can only win the badge and accessory one time, so you can't win it more than once. So if you already won it and you want to enter again, you're not going to win it again. A second accessory, you only get the one, and it would just kind of be after that. It would just be if you want your story to be in game. Is mainly the only reason I could think of entering twice, and if you just love writing. And also the accessory is not a halo and it is not tradable. It's the same one as the last 2 or 3 times. And yeah, oops. So disqualification, this is important. So disqualification will take place if you share your story online before the winners are announced. So the winners probably won't be announced till the first or second week of June. So if you post your story publicly or even on a Discord in a group chat, and I find out about it, it will be disqualified, because we can't have players seeing the options for the fountain before it's even out, or even during. If you do win, if you post your story while it's an active time that it's in the fountain, your story will be removed, just because it's an unfair advantage for you to personally do that. It looks like Ryu came to say hello. Anyways, where was I? Bullet point number 2 on disqualification. So sharing the story submission area link sent to you in the post sent to you in the RSVP will result in disqualification. So if you manage to snag a RSVP spot, then you're going to get a confirmation email, as I mentioned earlier. Well, that confirmation email is going to have a link to enter your story at the times I previously mentioned. but that is just for you alone to have. So if you share that with a friend who didn't manage to RSVP, and that will result in a disqualification, okay? And then also using any topic against Roblox terms of service like dating, gambling, bad language will result in disqualification, so your entry will be deleted. That's once you have confirmation. If you RSVP'd and you wrote that, it would be removed. Copying other stories, aka plagiarizing, will result in disqualification, and not following the format on page number 5 of these slides will result in disqualification. Okay, so let's move on. So these are the submission periods, the times, and they're coming up. So if you click this if you click this slide that I will put in the description, you could click this. This is a link, and it's not open yet. It's only open at the times below. So in this link, you only need to write your username, that's your Roblox username, and your social media when the link is opened, not your story, in case you would like to be contacted on there instead of your email. And so the time slots that are available, so they're coming up, and because I chose multiple different ones across the globe, since Royal High has many players from all across the world, it might be a little confusing because some of them are on Friday, some of them are on say Friday, some of them say Thursday. So just pay attention to the one that's closest to your time. So Friday, May 21st at 4 p.m. in the Australia Central Daylight Time, the ACDT. There are 90 entries to RSVP, not to write your story, to RSVP. Then, so this link will open up at this time, and you can do that. Once it has 90, I'm going to close it. Then, same thing, Friday, May 21st at 6 p.m. China Standard Time. Same thing, 90 entries to RSVP, and then I will close it. Then again, Thursday, May 20th at 4 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. Same thing. Thursday, May 20th at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 90. And then Thursday, May 20th at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 90 entries. If you're unfamiliar, on the page I also put a time zone converter so that you can just check how that aligns with you. And remember, these are for the RSVPs, the reservation, not for entering your fully written story. So, story rules and disclaimers. This is pretty much the same as it always has been. So winning stories will be featured in the Royal High Fountain. Winning stories might be edited by me to fit the game. Winning stories will receive, the badge, etc. I mentioned, and you can include your name. Please do not put your full name, but like your OC name, etc. in it, to make it uniquely yours if you desire, and kind of the basic stuff as usual. Then, can I scroll down? There we go. Story rules and disclaimers part 2. So your story must follow the format below. Stories not following the format will not be considered. Your story must be mermaid, merman, aquatic, ocean themed only, to use from June to possibly August. Your story lead up must be between 3 to 5 sentences. And your story multiple choice must be in the form of a short answer, less than 1 sentence. It's also okay if it's just a word or 2. It doesn't need to be a sentence. Your story results must have 2 options minimum per letter with the multiple choice, but 3 to 4 preferred. You can choose if you have an option that has the result of diamond loss, diamond gain, experience gain, nothing happens, or a halo result. And you can make more than 1 multiple choice letter have halos as well, but it needs to be varied. It can't be winning all the time or losing all the time, and there has to be variety. Also, if you include your name or friend's name in your story, please only include up to 2 names in a single story result. And do not include any numbers or underscores with the name, because then it just becomes a little overwhelming for the reader. You also must include a minimum of 4 story result options from your choices A, B, C, D. And 1 story per person. It must not be posted publicly. And okay, I already mentioned that last part, so let's move on. So the story must be in English. English doesn't need to be your first language to enter. However, please make sure that your story is clear and understandable. If you do not speak English, Google Translate, unfortunately, isn't a useful resource because there will be grammar mistakes because it doesn't translate perfectly. And there are some phrases in different languages that don't really translate to English, just like ones in English might not translate to other languages. So, if you are not an English speaker or bilingual in English, if you know someone who is, maybe you could co-write your story with them or have them proofread your story, or translate your story. But I would only enter in that case if they're able to do that. I wouldn't stick to Google, because then your chances of winning, unfortunately, would be really low, because it might be translated incorrectly. And the more errors there are in a story, or if it doesn't really make sense clarity wise, then it won't have a high chance of winning. I mean, errors are okay, but when it's repeated, that is when your chances kind of decrease. So you may use grammar and spelling checkers such as Grammarly or Spell Check. You could even ask your older sister, older brother, your mom who's a teacher, or anything, to proofread your story for you if you would like, to help you make sure it's in a good stance. And yeah, moving on. So this is just an example. So my story that I did, I didn't take a lot of time on it, so it's not super mermaid-y. I was just kind of rushing so to get this done out to you guys in time for June. So bear with me. It would be better if your story is more aquatic or oceanic themed than mine is. But this is just a basic example. So your lead up. For this part of the story, you set up a prompt that is of what is happening in 3 to 5 sentences. And the prompt is supposed to start with after wishing on the fountain, or after making your wish, after wishing. It's not supposed to mention diamonds, because you don't throw in diamonds in the beginning anymore. So that's an error I actually saw in a lot of the stories. And if it was a really good story, then I fixed it and took that part out and edited it myself. But I prefer not to have to do that. But anyways, so my example is, after wishing on the fountain, you see, oops, I forgot a comma right there. Oh well. You see a bouquet of blue. Oh man, I was tired. I'm making a lot of errors. This is why you need to proofread, guys. Of blue and white flowers with seashells and kelp added for decorative flair. You ponder what florist could have made such a peculiar arrangement, then notice a merman in the park pond with a floating, a floating kiosk boat. You stare intently at him and decide to ... So I stayed within that range, and I started with after wishing. The next part is multiple choice selections. So this part of the story must be only a sentence or less long and have 4 choices related to your previous prompt. So mine are A, buy an aquatic bouquet from him. I know this story is like so random, but I was so tired and wrote this really late at night. B, sneak one of his aquatic bouquets off his boat. That's B. C, try to haggle the price down of one of his bouquets. D, head home flowerless. So again, these aren't really, my story isn't super mermaidy, but I was just editing a previous story that talked about bouquets, trying to kind of rush through it. Okay, so result options. You must include 2 results minimum per letter multiple choice option that you previously wrote. So that means for letter A, so if you look at this, letter A should have 2 results minimum, 2 to 4. A B should have 2 minimum. C should have 2 minimum. D should have 2 minimum. But 3 to 4 is preferred. Moving back. So the more details, the better, and you can include up to 4 to 5 results per letter maximum. The ideal text amount per result would be 3 to 7 sentences. If it's a little bit over, maybe 8, maybe 9, but they're kind of shorter sentences, then that's okay. But one of the biggest issues this last time that I saw is that there were a lot of really good stories, but some of them were just so long that it would be too hard to condense them down without taking crucial parts of the story out. So, that might have been a reason why yours didn't win in the past. So I would say, make sure to keep it under, at minimum, keep it under like 9. But preferably between 3 to 7. And you can choose, is my voice going to be muffled by cat hair? You can choose what the result of the story gives or takes away from the player, with the options of win diamonds, lose diamonds, nothing occurs, win experience, or win a halo. However, only stories with varied results will be considered. So my example for letter A, based on my multiple choice selections from earlier, for A1 I put nothing. So you walk up to the merman staring at his charming pond-side kiosk boat filled with summer flowers and aquatic decorations. Politely, you ask him if you could purchase one that fits within your budget to give your best friend. To give your best friend before school tomorrow. And he hands you a lovely piece with rainbow seashells and mint green daisies. As you reach over to grab them from him in exchange for diamonds, he reaches out to you and accidentally drops the bouquet into the water. Ryuk, stop it. My cat is trying to eat a straw from a soda. Yikes. Anyways, as you reach over to grab them from him in exchange for diamonds, he reaches out to you and accidentally drops the bouquet into the water. He blushes from embarrassment and says, "Don't worry, I'll fish them out for you." As he returns... Stop it, Ryuk. Now he's trying to eat pencils. As he returns to the boat, sopping wet from his dive, he hands you the bouquet as he declares they are now free of charge. After thanking him, you walk away and examine the bouquet, realizing... I need to fix that. Again, I wrote this when I was really tired. Realizing it reeks of pond scum. Ew! Toss. Okay, I will edit that for those of you who are gonna look on this link. But anyways, this is just basic information to know for the story. But again, the times that I mentioned are just for RSVPs. Please do not start your story unless you get an RSVP confirmation that you were one of the 90 who RSVP'd in time. Alright guys, I'll put the link in bio, and I wish you all luck, and I hope you have a good rest of your week and finals. If you have finals, remember that school always takes precedence over games, but if yours are done or you have your time managed well, then we'll be excited to see you enter. And also, I'm going to do one more personal video coming up about a personal project that I'm working on with my husband, and I will post that next. Okay, bye guys.